Will HSBC be included in unreliable entity list in China? After FedEx was warned by the Chinese government for the transfer of Huawei's courier to the United States. This week, HSBC was entered the popular search of Chinese media again because it assisted the U.S. Department of Justice in investigating Huawei and leading to Huawei executive to be arrested in Canada. The public believes that HSBC should be included in the first batch Chinese unreliable entity list after FedEx. The unreliable entity list in China is a new policy promulgated by the Chinese government last month. It is one of the countermeasures to the U.S. Department of Commerce to put Huawei in its entity list. Last week, HSBC launched a lobbying campaign to persuade the Chinese government not to be responsible for arresting Huawei's chief financial officer. The bank is trying to keep a distance from the diplomatic disputes of China's top telecom equipment manufacturers. However, HSBC's efforts may be counterproductive before the end of extradition case. In 2017, HSBC operated under the supervision of an independent regulator that was fined $1.9 billion for violating sanctions and helping Mexican drug cartels to launder money. According to people familiar with the matter, in order to obtain forgiveness from the United States, since the end of 2016, HSBC has helped the U.S. prosecutors to collect information, and finally filed a litigation against Ms. Meng and Huawei, based on a PPT document which was provided by Huawei to HSBC. In the indictment, Huawei executives were accused of bank and wire transfer fraud. The indictment also accused Huawei of conducting business in Iran in violation of U.S. sanctions. At the same time, HSBC was called the victim institution by the U.S. Department of Justice. HSBC CEO John Flint and other senior representatives of the bank told Chinese officials that after the U.S. Department of Justice asked about the relationship with Huawei in 2017, there was no choice but to cooperate with the investigation. The Chinese are very angry with Meng's treatment and asked us about our role in the prosecution. We told them that we have an American monitor that has 200 to 400 people at any time. People are in the bank and can communicate with everything. However, this statement was refuted by Huawei. In an interview with the Financial Times, Huawei CEO said that HSBC Bank understands Skycom business in Iran from the beginning and understands the relationship between Skycom and Huawei. This can be demonstrated by an email between the bank and Huawei, which has a bank logo. From a legal point of view, they cannot claim to be deceived or know nothing because we have evidence. Huawei believes that although it operated in Iran, it did not violate applicable U.S. laws and did not sell products which includes more than 10% of U.S. technology and the U.S. embargoed. The HSBC terminated its relationship with Huawei in 2017 and stated that there is a risk of concern about its business practices. The indictment alleged that Huawei repeatedly misdirected its business transactions in Iran to HSBC and several other banks. However, Huawei CEO believes that HSBC has not given any reason about the service termination.